Hello, everyone, and welcome to the March 2019 Amazon Monthly Briefing. My name is Jack O'Leary, and I'm an analyst at Edge by Ascential, covering all things e-commerce pure play, of which Amazon is a major component. For those of you who are rejoining our monthly Amazon webinar series, welcome back. And for those of you who this is your first time, this is a monthly webcast event that we do where we recap the recent developments, top headlines from Amazon, and then do a deep dive on one particular topic related to one of the world's most relevant e-commerce marketplace models that affects manufacturers, businesses, and industries spanning everything commerce. And it's a series that we like to conduct, basically recapping everything to do with that. So with that, let's get started here. First, a bit of housekeeping. In addition to our virtual webinars, we also have an awesome schedule of in-person events and programs that we want to share with you going forward. 2 updates on our events where you can engage with us on things related to Amazon. We are very humbled to share that our e-hackathon event focused on Amazon related topics for April 16th in New York City has completely sold out. It's an exclusive full day Amazon US centric summit where we have amazing content, including client case studies, our latest perspective on Amazon, and my personal favorite part of the event's the Hack Shop Masterclass sessions, where you learn key Amazon hacks and tips to help improve your Amazon business with both individuals from Edge by Ascential and external partners. However, despite New York being sold out, we have another US event coming up in September in Seattle. Details will be emerging soon, so stay tuned for open registration to do with that. Also, for all of our European leaders or any of your European colleagues who maybe are not on the line, we are hosting an e-hackathon in London on May 8th and 9th. May 8th is an exclusive full-day Amazon-centric masterclass summit, and May 9th is an omni-channel-centric full-day masterclass summit. That's more focused on all other except Amazon, so winning with the top omni-channel retailers in Europe. And it's for e-commerce leaders managing markets in Europe. Early bird registration for that ends in April, so don't miss your chance to get into one of these great events focused on that region of the world. Please reach out to your Edge partners or register directly via our website, which is listed under the events tab to gain access to these great events. With that, let's get into the content of what we're going to be discussing today. Just a quick note of housekeeping. You can ask questions throughout the webcast utilizing the Q&A tool within GoToWebinar. At the end, I will be leaving some time to go through some of those questions, and we'll look to respond via email outside of that to anything I don't get to. Additionally, on the last slide of the webcast, there will be my email and a more general Edge by Ascential email. If you have anything you want to ask directly, want to gain access to the recording, learn more about what we do here at Edge, please feel free to reach out to those directly. And then my final ask or request of everyone on the webcast is, once I'll be closing it down, we did want to ask a few questions of our attendees today around length of webcast, type of content you're interested in. Feedback is really valuable to us in terms of tailoring this going forward to what your needs are. So I'd really appreciate if you could fill in that survey, and we'll continue to iterate on this webcast series going forward. But with that, let's look at Amazon's recent developments from March 2019. Amazon, as always, had many major headlines and a lot of shifts over the past month. It is one of the most active retail platforms in the world, so we have a lot to discuss here. First, the much rumored joint venture between Amazon, JP Morgan, and Berkshire Hathaway has now been named. It's known as Haven Healthcare. It's going to be focused first internally on employees of the 3 partner companies, but they've brought in a doctor to kind of head up, a famous doctor to kind of head up the venture, and it's really focused on the future of the healthcare space, all of basically the pain points in this vertical. Basically in their outlined vision, the top things they've talked about is primary care physician access, simplifying insurance and access to insurance, the affordability of prescription drugs, and then also the utilization of data to better inform our healthcare systems. The idea here is that this will be more broadly launched out to the wider market of consumers once they kind of iterate and test internally with their own, company employees. I think the relevance here for Amazon and for all of us who are really focused on the retail side of Amazon is that if your category has any sort of relevance, even kind of secondarily or complementary to health, personal care, health and wellness in general, this is just further testament that Amazon is very much investing in this space and looks at it as a very important future growth engine for them. Other aspects of like their acquisition of PillPack, an online prescription drug distribution company last year, their launch of various exclusive brands in health and wellness categories, everything from medical equipment to things like OTC drugs and vitamins in private label categories. It's all a testament to Amazon wanting to get a bigger piece of the pie here in terms of the growing health and wellness space. And so they'll be doing it from all different angles, including this one, tackling some of the pain points of health as an industry. So something to be looking out for. And we'll see, you know, long term if there's any sort of retail tie-ins here or benefits Amazon gets, perhaps on the data side from an initiative like Haven Healthcare. Now, definitely much more related to retail and extremely relevant to anyone in consumables categories, specifically grocery. News emerged this month, just rumors, nothing actually announced by Amazon, that Amazon is planning a new grocery chain, one that is not branded with the Whole Foods brand name. As everyone knows, Amazon made the move to get into physical retailing and specifically grocery with the acquisition of Whole Foods 2 years ago. That has been a gradual integration, but one which Amazon is leveraging in a variety of different ways. This would be a new format. Some of the details that are emerging about it is potentially the first store location will be in Los Angeles by end of 2019. The plan in terms of scale and scope is dozens of locations in this chain. To start, other cities that are likely targeted for early openings are San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia. And these locations would be slightly smaller than your typical grocery store, coming in at around 35,000 square feet, most likely probably oriented around semi-urban areas, although kind of contrary to that point, there is going to be some level of parking or at least space for tethered click and collect offerings, so some sort of pickup model. Amazon, I think, is very much acknowledging the fact that click and collect is a model that is desired by today's grocery shopper. All of the traditional omni-channel players are really investing there, so Amazon looks to be there as well. And then finally, another kind of differentiating detail to Whole Foods is that this chain, which brand is still yet to be determined, is going to be a little bit more lower price point oriented. As everyone on the line probably knows, Whole Foods does have the association with generally being a more expensive offering, a more premium offering. So Amazon, looking to kind of really tackle the grocery category more meaningfully and more wide-reachingly, would be looking to maybe go in at some lower price points, because it does seem like Amazon has been unable to have really any sort of downward effect on price levels in Whole Foods stores. So I think for all suppliers here, the thought process here is, where does this fit in your future strategy around Amazon and their consumables offering? We've seen how they leverage the Whole Foods stores. They are using them as basically distributed fulfillment centers to enable their Prime now rapid perishable delivery for many of the stores. They're adding click and collect to many of them. With the launch of a new offering that's perhaps a little bit more mass consumer focused, I think there's going to be more opportunities for major national brands that maybe just traditionally have been distributed through Whole Foods stores to get in that Amazon physical retail space. And so we're interested to see if and when this launches. It seems very likely, so be on the lookout for a new grocery chain coming from Amazon. Also, additionally, in the grocery space and in Whole Foods stores specifically, Amazon is launching returns and pickup at a few Whole Foods locations. It's a little bit different than its usual, just typical lockers. They allow up to 15 days of packages being held there, returns with or without the box the item was originally shipped in, and Prime members do receive some benefits here, allowing faster delivery to these locations for pickup than your typical shopper. So reinforcing that Prime value prop here. It's interesting to see if this will be expanded to more Whole Foods stores. Amazon has had a number of tie-ups, namely Kohl's stores where they allowed returns. It is a desired kind of feature or convenience for today's e-commerce shopper, being able to bring the item to a store to return it versus having to figure out how to ship it back to the retailer. It's also more economically advantageous for Amazon to have shoppers, handling that process by bringing it to the store, a centralized point, versus paying for kind of reverse logistics and returns out of pocket themselves. That's a really expensive proposition. So this can be a traffic driver for Whole Foods stores, but again, shows Amazon utilizing its physical assets here to kind of further extend their competitive advantage. Also in the realm of kind of physical touch points, Amazon meeting the consumer in the real world versus online here. In an interesting move, Amazon has decided to close all kiosks / pop-ups in the US. This was 87 locations as of the date of the announcement in 21 states. And these kiosks, pop-ups were often used to feature Amazon devices, allow shoppers really to kind of test, feel, and learn what these things like Fire tablets, Alexa devices, Fire sticks, all of the different kind of Amazon branded technology hardware devices, what they really were about, and potentially to purchase these items. They were really, I think, more of a promotional offering to some extent, and also just a brand building offering for Amazon. Nevertheless, these locations are going to be removed from Whole Foods stores, Kohl's locations, and malls. So Amazon is retracting these. They did seem somewhat, temporary to some extent. So I don't think this is a major concerning news point, but it is interesting that Amazon has fully abandoned this strategy. I think that in terms of that kind of presence and exploration and brand building, Amazon has some new formats that they're really exploring there. The 4-Star store, for example, if anyone is in Manhattan, for example, they have a chance to go check that out. But it's a location where Amazon exhibits tons of items from its website with real reviews from Amazon.com, live dynamic pricing via electronic shelf tags. It's a really fun kind of exploration type of shopping trip where you can find cool items that are on Amazon.com in a very kind of promotional way. I don't think it's a real succinct need-based shopper trip, but that is potentially the future of this kind of physical promotion of Amazon versus these kiosks and pop-ups, at least in the US. Because in kind of more recent news, but still very close to the closure of the US locations, Amazon is leaning in heavily on these kiosks, launching them in India. They have 4 already in various major cities plotted across this map here. And the plan is to open around 100 of these things across the entire country. I think that the main move here in India is, again, brand building for Amazon. They are in a cutthroat, heated battle here with the likes of Flipkart and traditional Indian e-commerce operators. They also are experiencing definite competitive challenges with very rapidly shifting regulatory environment around e-commerce marketplaces, with shifting FDI laws and the treatment of various sellers on the platforms. So Amazon is going to continue to invest in any way to really up their kind of presence in the eyes of the consumer, build their brand in the market, and really kind of advance their offering going forward there. So we're going to have more kiosks long term. Also abroad, Amazon is extending their tie-up in partnership in last mile fulfillment with Monoprix. So it seems like we are having some connection issues, but we're going to try and push through here with the Wi-Fi we've got here, and we're going to work through this. But I do apologize for anyone on the line who is potentially having me come in and out with connection problems. Hopefully the recording will be a lot clearer for anything that maybe gets dropped here from what I'm relaying. So back to looking at what Amazon is doing in Europe. So they have partnered with Monoprix. The results in 2018 in the some small areas of Paris were pretty positive on both Amazon side and for the physical retailer. Monoprix indicated 2018 orders were 2 to 3 times what their expectations were. So Amazon is extending this offering to the entirety of Paris and then some surrounding areas, I believe around 30 communities in the area around it. Amazon is always looking to almost do a co-opetition model, we like to say, with various retailers. They are not strictly competitors with retailers when they can see a competitive advantage here, utilizing the physical locations of these retailers to deliver items at high speed It's a win-win situation in a lot of cases. And then Amazon also is advantaged by being able to collect the shopper data around these things and whatever sort of revenue share model they have. So Amazon's extending that partnership. A lot of European retailers, especially, have been very slow and considerate about partnering with Amazon because they are such a major competitor and potentially so disruptive. So we'll be interested to see if any other players decide it's a worthwhile partnership despite the risk of Amazon really disrupting retail markets. Now, moving back to the United States, some news emerged around Amazon Prime and member numbers. We always like to report what we're hearing here in terms of some of the various survey companies and what they're coming up with Prime estimates. Amazon themselves last year, around Q2, or I believe Q1 actually, revealed that Prime members had just globally passed the 100 million mark. We saw some estimates from consumer intelligence retail research partners that indicated 97 million Prime members at the end of 2018 in the US alone. That number felt a little bit high, but then now we're getting some additional color from eMarketer. They've conducted some surveys, and this is a households number, so a little bit different than individuals, but we're seeing we're seeing over half of US households now have Prime, according to eMarketer. So it's always interesting to get some color on Amazon Prime and its growth. To some extent, we believe that's reaching a saturation point here in the United States. They're going to increasingly look to upsell these shoppers, but I believe there's only so many shoppers here in the US that can really get value out of that, $130 a year Amazon Prime membership. And so they're going to look to extend this abroad significantly. But in the US, look to really add spend and add growth and drive revenue through new programs, selling in new categories, building out areas like grocery and additional kind of business lines. Because I do believe that Prime is reaching some level of nearing saturation point here in Amazon's home market. A new feature available to Prime members in the US is this program called Amazon Day. It's sustainability oriented, which is really something that resonates well with consumers. The idea here is that you as a consumer can pick a single day of the week and have all of your Amazon orders delivered on that day. I believe they're still rationalizing and working through some of the issues with items still being delivered in multiple boxes on the same day, but at least from a sustainability basis, you only have the delivery driver making one trip. This is obviously also more kind of economically advantageous for Amazon because they have the delivery driver making one trip instead of many, and eventually they're going to use this to hopefully reduce waste. They also later in the month rolled this out to business Prime members, so members of kind of Amazon's B2B offering, Amazon Business, which is a really fast-growing business line. And the idea here is this also could be a little bit more efficient for businesses who are ordering large amounts of items, having them all come on one day. Again, a little bit more sustainability oriented and also a little bit more planned for Amazon, which is great. Amazon has also partnered with WorldPay. This is one of the first partnerships of its kind for Amazon. Amazon's program, Amazon Pay, which allows people to use their Amazon sign-in, loaded credit cards, what have you, to pay in off Amazon locations, mostly e-commerce sites, is now going to be enabled through all merchants that use WorldPay, which is a back-end kind of payments company for a lot of kind of online retailers. So this basically means the ubiquity of Amazon Pay will be widened. It will be able to be accessed in more locations. Amazon Pay for Amazon is very much a data move strategically. They gather significant consumer data by understanding their behavior and their purchase behavior off Amazon as a platform and elsewhere. So it's really valuable for them for understanding their shopper in more locations. So we'll be interested to see if Amazon has any other partnerships in this area, but Amazon Pay is something that they're looking to accelerate. Another big news headline was the Dash Button program of the last few years has been ended. And I just want on the slide to outline what this actually meant, because there's a lot of confusion with Amazon, their branding, in terms of they use a lot of the same words over again for things that are somewhat the same but somewhat different. So this just pertains to the physical dash buttons that you place in your home. For those of you who maybe are unfamiliar with the program, they were connected to your Wi-Fi. They were assigned to a particular SKU on Amazon.com, and whenever you ran out of that item, whether it be detergent, paper towels, what have you, you press the button and it's automatically reordered from Amazon.com at very little effort to you. So these physical buttons are being gotten rid of, but the virtual dash buttons, which you see on Amazon.com, also on some connected devices like smart refrigerators, are still available to shoppers. And then also, I think more importantly, the Amazon Dash replenishment program, which is not a button push shopper prompted type of replenishment. It is auto replenishment, so it uses connected hardware. Things like connected Brita filters or connected printers to automatically know when a shopper is running out of a particular thing like ink toner or a filter, for example, and automatically order and ship that to them. That program will be continuing, and I think is a really important one for the future of kind of shopping in these commodity categories that are easily replenished. So all of that will continue. I think the Dash button program, one, was ended because it really was not the best shopper experience. And then one of the issues there was that the prices were not readily transparent to the shopper when they pressed that button. And Amazon has dynamic prices on their website, so this is really challenging. Also, in certain markets was a regulatory concern. In Germany, for example, the regulatory body there felt that this was bad for the consumer, and they were potentially going to crack down and outlaw these buttons there. So Amazon, I think, is preempting issues like that around the world by doing away with the dash buttons that were announced a few years ago. Amazon in their marketplace, and this leads us up well to our tactic of the day, has had a few shifts to serve vendors, and we're going to talk in a little bit more detail about these and what they really mean for Amazon going forward. But they launched a new program in the past month known as Project Zero. It's a program that is a more robust brand registry / transparency program to help Amazon vendors with big trademarks or intellectual property defend their brand from counterfeits on Amazon.com. So the big three pillars of what this does for a brand that registers with it is you're able to set up some kind of rules-based policing, and Amazon is supposedly using machine learning and automatic marketplace monitoring to search the marketplace for your trademark, make sure that it finds maybe potentially likely counterfeiters or trademark violators who are violating agreements you might have or your intellectual property, and more readily identify that going forward. Also, additionally, with this program for brands that enroll, they have a little bit more of an easier time, let's say, removing counterfeits. Previously, through brand registry, you got more rapid responses from Amazon, but you still had to somewhat deal with Amazon to remove items. With this program, you get more rapid, in a self-service model, removal of the infringing items. And then finally, very much kind of in line with a program they already had known as the Product Transparency Program. Product serialization, the idea here is that you can assign unique serial codes to all of your items that should be moving through Amazon. Both Amazon and the shopper, if they choose to, can scan to ensure that these items are legitimate. And this is a good way to kind of weed out for the shopper, for Amazon, and for you, the manufacturer, what items might be counterfeit. So we'll be interested to see how this program moves going forward. It is somewhat self-service, as things tend to be with Amazon, but does appear to be a distinct effort to answer a pain point that many manufacturers have. Also on the marketplace, there was a slight shift in Amazon's 3P pricer rules. 3P sellers, those who don't actually sell inventory to Amazon on a 1P basis, but just simply list on the platform and interface with various seller-focused programs, used to have a rule enabled where they were prohibited from selling items at lower prices elsewhere on a policy basis with Amazon. Amazon, I think, was feeling a lot of pressure around this in terms of competitiveness and regulatory authorities. So Amazon looked to just change the letter of these rules. Now, the interesting thing about this news is that it appears, in action and what is actually happening on the marketplace, that this isn't having a major effect there. Amazon is suppressing the buy box for many of the sellers who they determine listing items at lower prices, not at parity with their platform. elsewhere. So it seems like sellers still have to navigate a really difficult Amazon relationship here. Amazon wants the best price on their items, is constantly looking at competitor websites to make sure that and matching to try and have a very competitive pricing environment. So sellers still, despite this rule change, which is Amazon basically covering itself from a regulatory basis, are facing some challenges here around pricing on the platform. And then finally, I'm just going to briefly touch on this because it is really the component of the last half or last portion of our webcast here. Amazon had a big point of news, probably the biggest story of the month, the vendor blackout, so to speak. So earlier in March, many, I'll say small to medium-sized 1P vendors got almost kicked off the Amazon marketplace without warning. They did not receive purchase orders in one of the earlier weeks of the month. And then upon contacting Amazon, there was a wide range of responses. Everything from notes from Amazon where they said that they decided to no longer order the inventory coming from this vendor, and they would suggest that they navigate their way over to the marketplace 3P side of Amazon, all the way up to pretty low-level stuff where Amazon was saying that it was an error, it was a technical issue, and they would change the problem and they would fix it for suppliers, and it would not be a problem going forward. In the weeks following, there was a wide range of different responses. So for those that made it through the issue and maintained a 1P relationship, there was many who saw Amazon wanting even more of their inventory, items that had previously been crapped out, items that they were listing 3P on the platform. Amazon wanted them all. For some players who did not receive purchase orders, for some manufacturers, I should say, it continued in the weeks to come, and it appears that they have now been blocked out of their 1P vendor relationship with Amazon. And for some, Amazon resumed normal ordering. So it seems like a very uneven, random response, and to some extent seems like it's a little bit senseless, but I think there's a distinct strategy at play here from Amazon in terms of the future of their retail business. And I think there's a few reasons they're doing this, and we can kind of tease those out here looking into this last section. So with that, let's talk about Amazon's marketplace, the shifts happening there, and how we suggest manufacturers out there kind of navigate what's happened in the past month with Amazon and all of these rapid changes. And I think first starting kind of on a macro level, or just on an Amazon as total company level, I should say, increasing profitability is the new norm for Amazon. The past 3 quarters, Amazon has reported record-breaking operating income quarter over quarter over quarter, and they're in the high teens now in terms of straight profitable quarters on an operating basis for the business. Amazon is now putting this out into the market as the expectation of investors that they'll continue to increase this going forward. The idea of Amazon being, the largest startup in the world and continuing to operate on an unprofitable basis just to invest in their business. There's a new kind of inflection point, and Amazon has reached a new stage of maturity, and that is no longer kind of acceptable in the public markets, I would say. There's a variety of reasons Amazon is profitable. Some are from kind of other divisions and business lines, AWS, advertising, but also additionally, Amazon is increasingly in their vendor negotiations on the 1P side of their business, really orienting themselves around profit down to the individual SKU basis. They've always been very, very focused on that, not looking at your entire assortment, but looking at individual items and determining their viability on Amazon.com from a margin perspective. But we're seeing those thresholds become more and more stringent and more difficult for manufacturers to navigate. Amazon is going to increasingly look to drive up the efficiency of its marketplace. And what I think this means for how they structure their marketplace is that they viewed, I think, their 1P business as an area that they can streamline a little bit more. We've heard news and headlines that Amazon internally is streamlining headcount there. They're shifting around vendor managers. They are increasingly looking to automate as much as possible of that business, as much self-service as possible. That's internal moves. Externally in their negotiations, they increasingly emphasize profitability of items. And then I think finally, there is a level of rationalization coming from Amazon in terms of they're looking at individual vendors, their viability on the marketplace, also their strategic importance to Amazon going forward and making decisions based off of that. And I think that is why we had the events of earlier this month with Amazon not making purchase orders from thousands of different vendors. So let's look at what I'm exactly talking about here. And I think Amazon wants to take their retail platform and run all of their partners, 3P sellers and 1P vendors, all of the manufacturers, distributors, approved distributors, through a filter that has a few different criteria, so to speak, to determine where they best fit in the future of the Amazon platform. Does Amazon want to continue to engage with you, the manufacturer, on a 1P basis as a vendor for a variety of reasons? Or is Amazon better suited moving that vendor over to the 3P side of the business, where, granted, Amazon has less control, but Amazon doesn't have as difficult of an economic proposition in working with you. When you're a 3P seller on Amazon.com, at its most simple, Amazon is basically just taking its take rate for listing your items on Amazon and doesn't have to deal with any other aspects of the value chain and the associated expenses. And then every single degree further you go as a seller in terms of working with Amazon, Amazon is driving revenue versus making losses. So if you engage with Amazon's Fulfillment by Amazon program, where you leave your inventory in Amazon warehouses, they store it for a fee, and they ship it to shoppers in under 2 days with a Prime tag on it for a fee, Amazon is getting revenue from all of that sales throughput and getting profitability there. Any 3P sellers who are engaging with advertising tools, again, that's accretive to Amazon as well. That's very different than the 1P dynamic, where Amazon's taking a distinct risk, purchasing inventory and optimizing, storing it in their warehouses where it takes up space, causes expense, handling that inventory, shipping it to shoppers at their own cost. That retail model is really only worthwhile for some vendors going forward. So I think they're going to rationalize. And I think the criteria they're using is, I think, first and foremost, sales volume. It seemed like this cull, this non-purchase order event we heard about, there was some level of it being a little bit more focused on small to medium-sized vendors. I think profitability is another. So the dynamics of margin on your individual items is really important here. Ownership of the intellectual property. So are you the trademark holder? Are you registered with brand registry? Are you there's a risk for Amazon due to increasing concerns and pressure from manufacturers and vendors around counterfeits. They are concerned, and so they want to simplify their dealings on the 1P side there. And so IP ownership is critical. Your importance to the categories of brand. Are you driving traffic? Are you a demand generator for a category on Amazon.com? Are you potentially important into Amazon long term for other revenue streams? That, I think, makes you more likely to stay in the 1P side. Category dynamics. So is it a category that does have a high level of 3Ps? It's one that Amazon does not want to have as much of a 1P hand in, or is it a category that they really want to shape and move forward, which they can do more readily through a 1P relationship? And then finally, vendor manager dynamics. It seemed like higher investing brands that had vendor managers were less likely to have their purchase orders stopped, although that is by no means across the board a rule. It just seems like the higher the investment level you have with Amazon and the more of a involved relationship, the less likely Amazon would want to move you off of 1P. And again, investment levels is key as well. So what programs are you engaging with Amazon? Are you investing ad dollars? All of that makes you a more appealing 1P candidate. Otherwise, they want to move you over to the 3P marketplace to be more governed by rules, algorithms, and also more economically viable for Amazon, the retailer. So let's look at the first party first. And I think one of the key things here is if you're a key kind of linchpin brand in a category, and you have high sales throughput and the category is really important to your business, Amazon, probably very, very high on the list outside of sales volume, is looking to extract increasing advertising revenue from you. And that, I feel, is easier done through a 1P relationship with you, the branded manufacturer. It is, these stats you see on the screen here are no surprise to anyone. Amazon is increasingly advancing its Amazon advertising tools. AMS and AMG are now evolving into this new Amazon advertising platform with increasingly new data sets, new targeting capabilities, new areas for Amazon to gain revenue and for you, the manufacturer, to spend with Amazon and do more on an advertising basis. Advertising is more profitable for Amazon than its retail business, also a surprise to no one. And some analysts in the market predict actually Amazon advertising as a division for Amazon is going to drive more margin, more operating income for the business than its AWS cloud computing line by 2021. So Amazon is a battleground in the digital ad market, and they're looking to extract as much revenue and get their share there as possible. And so this is more easily done on the first party. So if you are what they view as a real viable advertising candidate, I think that's a reason to keep some vendors in the 1P side and really focus on them and actually allocate human capital, headcount, and the relationship, the vendor manager side, to fewer accounts in a more focused manner to really drive this strategy forward. Additionally, in the first party side, the advertising opportunities are growing, and the sophistication of Amazon advertising is increasing. Recently, I believe last month, I reported that Amazon Fresh is now allowing sponsored ads. Amazon Fresh, obviously, for everyone on the line who may know this, for everyone who doesn't know this, I should say, is Amazon's full basket grocery delivery model, and launching sponsored ads and giving brands more of an opportunity to kind of win there via investment dollars in ad spend is an opportunity for Amazon going forward. And by kind of rationalizing their partner set, they're able to better focus and on the key partners going forward in key programs like Amazon Fresh. Grocery is a key category for Amazon, one they want to win. Amazon Fresh is a part of that. So rationalizing the marketplace is key to kind of driving that forward. And then also on the first party side, the last note I really wanted to make here was that Amazon is somewhat hearing the pain points of manufacturers, and they are offering some new programs for manufacturers to engage with to make the Amazon experience perhaps a little bit better and to better control them as 1Ps going forward. That being said, Amazon probably felt like they needed to do some level of rationalization of the business, because this is not something that they want to offer in mass to a wide swath of 1Ps. They really want to focus on the key category leaders. The first is Amazon Project Zero, which I outlined earlier. The anti-counterfeit program is a new offering, really looking to answer the pain point of counterfeits on the platform. And then I know this name is evolving, but the Amazon Born to Run program. Amazon vendors commonly complain that, especially with new product launches, Amazon would not order adequate inventory, and key items that vendors were running significant ad dollars to promote on the platform were going out of stock and not realizing the full sales volume that they would normally, and also slowing and halting the key Amazon flywheel that they want to drive for these items. Amazon heard that concern and saw that many 1P vendors were going over to the 3P side to launch products, and realized that they want to control those relationships with these key brands going forward. So they launched a program where vendors for key product launches can set the inventory that they feel Amazon should hold. They commit to a certain level of ad spend with Amazon to support the launch of a new product, and then Amazon has full return rights on that inventory. The idea here is for product launches on Amazon that you feel are going to really truly be successful, you now have a new tool in your tool belt to really tell Amazon, no, we know better. You're under forecasting. We want to launch this item at this level of inventory and prevent it from going out of stock, and really drive strong growth forward by doing so. So there's various new tools coming out, and Amazon is looking to kind of increase kind of the menu of options they have for their 1P vendors that are really past the criteria I discussed earlier. Now, for everyone else, or for individuals who feel like they're on the line in terms of potentially being forced over to the 3P side, Amazon looking to potentially, without warning, stop making purchases from them. There's a risk there. What is an option is the suggestion to start to build out 3P selling capabilities. There's a lot more control and on the 3P side. Obviously, there's a lot more capability development involved with running a 3P. You have to figure out if you're going to run it yourself. Do you have the ability to deliver eaches to individual shopper doorsteps? Do you need to partner with a third-party logistics provider to handle something like that? How do you get the Prime tag? Are you going to utilize FBA with Amazon? So you're going to be getting, again, another commission basically taken by Amazon off of all of your sales throughput. There's a lot of considerations here, but simply put, when you're at risk with Amazon, basically without notice, just on any given week, not making a purchase order, it's all the more encouragement to potentially set up a 3P business going forward to hedge against that risk with Amazon. So let's do some high-level recommendations here. I think first and foremost, that point around potentially selling 3P as a hedge against the potential of Amazon no longer wanting to engage with you on a 1P relationship is, for any brand, having capabilities around things like distribution, logistics, direct-to-consumer, building those capabilities, understanding the 3P side of the business is a hedge to protect yourself going forward. And so it's something that I think should start today for most brands, and there should be processes and controls set in place to protect yourselves in the future. Now, one part of this is key. Not everyone can do it all themselves. So exploring external partnerships, whether that be third-party logistics providers, agencies that can help with your Amazon marketing business, consultancies who can do projects around how to set up your Amazon business. All of these things should be considered, and explore the market in terms of who can potentially help you set up these capabilities to protect yourself in a very uncertain Amazon world. And then finally, I think the news from the start of the month, I think one of the big high-level takeaways is that Amazon is an uncertain and, as always, kind of rocky platform to work with. It's a difficult relationship for many vendors and suppliers. And this is just a testament to the idea that other retail channels continue to be really important to resource just as a diversification strategy, because again, on any given day, you don't know what Amazon's going to do. They are really a volatile partner, unlike traditional retailers. So continuing to engage with key initiatives, especially e-commerce initiatives at other key partners, whether they be Walmart, Target, Kroger, Box.com. I think developing those capabilities will also drive success for you and your business going forward, and be a mitigator of risk that comes with Amazon. And then also just thinking about the future state of Amazon's retail business here. What we really believe is kind of what I've outlined previously here, that Amazon wants to really focus their 1P, their vendor managers, their human capital, and their headcount on the key critical brands in individual categories that they really want to control for the reasons I outlined. They want to extract ad revenue, and they also want to control the category dynamics in these categories. They want to get these brands on board quickly with key programs they launch, whether it be grocery delivery, Prime Now delivery rollout, whatever program comes in the future. All of this is better controlled through a 1P relationship. But as profitability continues to be a point of emphasis, and will always be a point of emphasis, and always kind of an escalation point for Amazon, they want to streamline that focus on what they view are the key brands, and they're going to continue to force players that don't really meet that criteria to operate in a more profitable manner for Amazon on the 3P marketplace side. And I think that is the end state to some extent Amazon's looking for, is that balance of their retail business. And it's something that's going to, I think, increasingly happen. And I expect more headlines to emerge throughout the year as they continue to do this in what seems like a very disorganized fashion, but I think does have some threads of a singular strategy towards what the future of the retail business is going to be. So with that, I do want to open up to questions here, and remind everyone that when I do close the webinar out, I would appreciate if anyone could please answer the poll questions that we've made available to you. So we are looking here. There was a question about what actually has happened in India in terms of foreign direct investment and the regulatory environment there. So the Indian regulatory authorities basically put out FDI law indicating that the marketplace operators there, Flipkart, which now has Walmart investment, so is technically foreign owned, and Amazon could not own significant rights in individual sellers. This was a problem for Amazon, as Cloudtail is the biggest seller on the Indian marketplace platform, and one that they had financial investments in. So they moved actually to get a a private equity firm, a local private equity firm involved to take on a certain level of ownership that's satisfied the regulatory authority there. This is going to just continue to be a challenging dynamic in India, where it's a really potentially highly lucrative e-commerce market going forward, but the Indian government, probably rightfully, is concerned about local businesses and looking to protect them from these foreign actors that are looking to really kind of get involved and dominate the market there. There's a question here around Amazon Pay and what that means in terms of are the companies that engage with Amazon Pay using Amazon to fulfill orders? And the answer to that is no. Amazon Pay is simply an API. It's a plugin to your vendor site, and it is entirely payments focused. To this stage, Amazon does offer, it offers no fulfillment capabilities, logistics capabilities, distribution capabilities for businesses off Amazon. It only offers those capabilities for sales that move through the platform. It'll be interesting to see long term if they invest further there. But for a program like Amazon Pay, it's just simply making your checkout have a different checkout option, allowing the shopper to use their Amazon credentials to make a purchase. So with that, I know I just answered 2 questions. We'll be looking to get to the rest in a little bit, but I know I'm over time here. So I wanted to thank all of you for joining me this month for the Amazon monthly briefing. I look forward to having more of these throughout the year with more topics. Appreciate any answers you get. Please feel free to reach out to me via email here, and hope you have a great day.